Hey everyone, it's Lorena from the Stressless Pencil, and welcome to this little sketch session today. So today I'm just gonna sketch this little still life, if you want to call it that. So it's a little Batman doll, Batwoman, Batgirl, one of them, from my daughter, and a little necklace that a friend had given to her. I'm using my A6 sketchbook, my watercolors from Viviva. They're just these little portable color sheets that fit in my sketchbook, and a fountain pen with waterproof ink in it. So the first thing I'm going to do is just kind of map out roughly where the shapes are that I want to put down on the page to get the proportions right and to make sure that the angle is okay. So just kind of give it a rough layout, because I've done it before where you just go way too precise, way too quick, and you end up, in this case, maybe with a ginormous head and then have no space for the rest. So I'm just kind of dotting out the elements across the page and then start sketching in the outlines. My sketching style is really kind of rough and messy, which I like. I'm not one for precision, neither in real life nor on my sketchbook. And I think kind of messy lines are much nicer to look at. So I'm just mapping out kind of the head. There's a little, from the angle I'm looking at, there's this little corner that sticks out at the bottom, and then drawing in the face shape, including the mask, and just see kind of where that aligns and hopefully get it right where to put the nose, right about here, and the eyes a bit apart, and the mouth, of course. So just looking at the face, it looks about right. It's a bit wider in real life, I guess, but it's a sketch, so that doesn't really matter. I'm a big fan of taking reality as a starting point and kind of go from there. I think with representation, if it's not a human face, there's a lot you can loosen up on. I'm really loving at the moment watching kind of loose urban sketching and all these kind of masters that just do a couple of squiggly lines and it looks amazing with some color splashed on it. So that's kind of the vibe I'm going for, and I do a lot of like kind of cross hatching and squiggling to map out darker areas and kind of areas of interest and just see where that takes me. So now I'm getting started on the beats. So there's a couple of beats that have kind of lines in them, wider beats, rounder beats. That one looks like an olive, I guess. And just go around and try to get the angle of them about right and kind of the shape and the textures. They are made of wood and they're shiny, but at the moment I'm just trying to map out kind of how they lay. I think I'm not quite getting the exact spacing right, so I'm just adding a bunch of imaginary imaginary beats to it, which doesn't matter so much. So we've got some round cylinder shaped beads back there, which you can't see because I'm covering it with my hand. But they, as they lie flat, they're more a bit like rectangles. So we got a round one and then this UFO shaped one. So a bunch of different interesting shapes. I'm also putting in some hatching for the darker areas, the shades. I'm sitting at my kitchen table and the sun's coming in from the window to my right. So that obviously drops all the shadows to the left of the elements, but they're not hard shadows that you would get with a lamp, but quite soft ones. So here comes the bat symbol. Obviously, always a challenge. You got to get that right. If you mess that up, it's the whole thing. It's just, you can throw it up. No, I'm kidding. But I've drawn the occasional bat symbol in my life, being a bit of a fan of comics myself. So I think it turned out all right. So now I'm just trying to see if there's areas, just to kind of get a shape, like the rounding of the head, see where it's lighter, darker, see where it needs a bit more definition here around the hair, and some shading back there behind the head and behind the beads, just to give it some texture and some, what do you call it, some volume, like some three-dimensionality, I guess you call it. Here on the beads too, I'm starting to sketch in just a couple shades and make it stand out a little bit more. I think it's coming together already quite nicely. You can see what it is I'm drawing. That's always a good thing. And something's not like falling off the page, which is good. Couple more definitions around the feet, some legs here. And just some structure in the background. There we go. Make the eyes stand out a little bit more. And that line there was almost a bit too straight. So I'm just adding some scribbly structure there too. And then from what I'm seeing, kind of on the top of the head, there's like a couple of tiny folds. So I'm trying to sketch those in. Not sure if it's working. Yeah. All right, a bit more feet. There we go. I think that's pretty good for the outlines. So the ink in this fountain pen is waterproof, so I can go over it right away with my watercolors. I got my trusty rag here, which is one of my daughter's old bibs, which she fortunately no longer needs, but they're great for washing out my paintbrush. So here I'm going to just go in straight with the hot purple. I love kind of really powerful poppy colors. Oh, went into the blue instead of the purple. Oh well. It adds some interest to anything, just to mess something up a little bit. There's no errors really in sketching. I think you can work with most everything. So just some hot purple everywhere. I'm trying to make it lighter and darker in different spots because it's a lot more interesting to look at. If we wanted to do kind of a flat look, then I wouldn't use watercolors. I'd use maybe a gouache or something else. But with watercolors, the cool thing is that you can kind of dab around and then move the paint around a little bit and start lighter and start darker, just to add more, texture and interest, I guess, to what it is that you're painting. So that's good for now. I know I left some spots white, but I'm going to decide what I'm going to do with them later. So I normally don't use black when I paint stuff because, in real life, not many things are actually black. But in this case, she's actually wearing a black mask. So out comes the black, but I'm trying to keep it lighter because obviously I do use black, having just said that, but I do use black for the outlines and the ink. But I meant for the coloring part of things. So I'm trying to keep it in the gray shades, not like a dark black. And I'm also trying to just map out a bit of volume to her head. I know Batman's mask obviously is higher up on the nose, so I'm just kind of keep it lighter there to make a bit of a light effect to make the nose come out a little bit. So then a pop in yellow for the feet and the belt and the bat symbol. That one needs to pop a bit more. It's the bat symbol. There you go. And then let's see. Pink, red, that one for the hair. Ooh, that one's popping also, yes. Yeah. So a good, nice red for the hair, maybe. Maybe I'll add some pink though, because like if you look at her hair, it's really obviously it's lighter and red in some spots, and then it goes almost into a darker kind of purpley color for the shades. So I'm just adding some deep pink here for those parts, just to make it a bit darker around her head where the hair is further back and covered by her head. That looks nice. Yes. So a bit more purple. I forgot the cape. Obviously the cape is also towards the back and a bit darker. So I'll just try and do that, and I'm filling in a bit of white here just with some very light purple. There you go. Some blue. My accidental blue earlier inspired me to add some blue for the shading back here, just to really set back the stuff that's further back and darker from the foreground. Nice. All right, on to the pearls. I'm starting with the green ones. There's quite a bunch of green ones back here, so I'll just fill in this nice light pink. I really love these watercolors because their colors are so vibrant. None of that earthy business for me. Or muted colors. No, no. Mixing some of the greens together also just to give some shading and some form to those beads. And then a red one, also with some pink again to make some shady parts. And then yellow and I think I messed up the colors, because if I'm looking at the beads, oh, yep. There was a yellow before the red. So there was green and then yellow and then red. And I messed it up. But who cares? So now that we've messed up the colors, we're free to go whatever way we want to go. So I'm just going to freestyle the colors a little bit from here, make the color choices a bit more how I like them instead of how they are with reality. So everything goes from here, which is nice. So we're going to take some more red in there, because in the original you can only really see one red bead, kind of the other half one poking out behind her hair. But since we have red in the hair, I think it's nice to bring a bit more of that color back in the other elements of the drawing. Can add some cool turquoise also up here, where normally everything is really green. I love that color. I could paint everything in that color, really. There we go. What else have we got? Try this. Yeah, we've already done a bunch of red though. So maybe I'll make it a bit more orange. There you go. Bit of a different orange. That's all right. And burnt umber, I'm starting to be a fan of. It's like a dark chocolatey brown. Those wooden beads. Another yellow here. Another yellow there. Mix in. Oh yeah, nice. That's a cool effect when the colors mix a bit into each other. So I'm just gonna move around a bit of paint from one bead to another so that it kind of flows a bit more and connects visually, I guess you can call it. Magenta, yes. Magenta. I don't know how you say it. I'm German, so we say magenta. A bit of purple in there for some shades. Yes. Nice. That looks kind of similar to the original and nicely balanced with the colors everywhere around. I think that's all right. Hmm. The skin tone. I'm trying to get the skin tone right. Obviously, I don't have a skin color. There we go. So I'm just using a bit of magenta and a bit of leftover yellow that was on my mixing palette. That yeah, that's a bit out of frame, but and a lot of water, and so I get a bit of a skin tony tone, so that works out. And so now we're gonna look at the shades. Also, just very washed out there. You see my palette at the bottom. It's just a piece of cardboard that's attached to the block there. And so I'm just using a very watered down blue to sketch in some of the shades. Again, not a fan of grays or whatever for shading, so I mostly use a blue or a purple or what have you. So the good thing also with colors, especially if you use them like I do, just kind of straight out of the pack, so to say, is that it's got like varying value. So sometimes it's a bit darker on the paintbrush than what I expected. So it kind of forced me to make the shades a bit darker than I had originally thought. But I remember that from art class from when I was like 16. My art teacher there, she was always like, go darker, because I was afraid of messing it up, going too dark on the shades. So it's good that I had an accidental, very dark blue here. So I'm just going to add some splashies because, we don't want big white spaces. Some people like them. I'm like, it's a bit boring to look at. Get some texture. I'm trying to kind of splash some water around. It doesn't really work very well with the water brush, I must admit. There you go. There's some splooches. Now the blue is a bit too dark, so I'm just gonna lift it off so it doesn't take attention away from the main show, which is obviously Batgirl here, and the beats. There's splooshy here, splooshy there. Splish, splish, splish. There you go. Can't really see that much anymore, but that's okay. It just adds a bit of interest. I'm gonna make some of the darker spots even darker, like behind those beats here. It's kind of the really dark part since the light is coming from the right hand side. And a bit around here. And back there. Yes, much darker back there. There you go. Wash that out a bit because it kind of fades out. A bit too much, maybe. There, that's it. And I think we're good. I think that looks nice. Cute little Batgirl and beads. I love sketching my daughter's toys. It'll remind me forevermore of this cute phase of hers. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this sketchy sketch and have a fantabulous day.